I'm Jim Wayner. I'm the Executive Director of Charis Community Housing. Charis is a faith-based community development organization founded by Bob Lupton in 1984. Charis seeks to bring the resources within a neighborhood together with partners from outside the neighborhood to rebuild and restore the fabric of that community. Charis works along 4 lines of business or core practices. The first is a single neighborhood focus where we just work one small area at a time to bring our resources to bear in that area or that community. The second is a home ownership focus where we try to help people move from a place of poverty into a place of becoming homeowners and having a share in that community. We also have a core practice we call re-neighboring, which is where we bring people in from outside the neighborhood to move into the neighborhood to weave their lives into that fabric as well. And then finally, strategic partnerships, where we partner with organizations, marketplace organizations, ministry organizations to do what we're trying to do. And by focusing on these 4 lines of businesses or core practices, Charis works with community leaders to bring about an individual approach to each community we adopt. Well, here we are in historic South Atlanta. It's a neighborhood of 531 homes. It's the neighborhood those of us at Charis have come to know and to love and be passionate about. This is our strategic target neighborhood. So when you look for where we're working, we work in this neighborhood of 531 homes. And we'll stay here until the housing reaches a point at which we believe it's viable and self-sustaining. And at that point, we'll begin to take on a new strategic neighborhood as we prayerfully seek for an invite into another location.
The fabric of the community, the people, the assets, the culture, the history, and even the problems are unique to each and every neighborhood. That's why a core practice of Charis is to work in one community at a time. We want to honor and come and be a part of what God is already doing in a community. Our current target neighborhood is the historic South Atlanta community. Not south as in south and north and east or west, but south as in South Atlanta, like Grant Park or Eastlake or Summerhill. It's a neighborhood with defined borders. It was started in the late 1800s by Clark University and Gammon Theological Seminary, and it was at one point in time the Mecca of the African American community. It was thriving, it had cultures. Anyone who was anyone big lived here, and you can see just the history and the homes.
Being a homeowner, there's a power that comes along with it. There's choices that can be made, there's decisions to be made and things of that nature. One of the main reasons why I appreciate my home ownership and having the support of Charis Community Housing is because it gave me an opportunity to help out a couple other young men in the community.
One of the best parts of my job is to see a family that comes in and maybe they're the first in 4 generations to even consider purchasing a house. And to hear our program will provide them that opportunity is life-changing for them. Once accepted into the program, they have 10 months of homeowners education they will attend. They learn things that they may have never knew about homeownership, from landscaping to personal financing to escrow and homestead exemption. All the questions that you might want to have asked, they get the opportunity to ask them. After completing their classes, they have the opportunity of being selected for a home as a first-time home buyer. They will build their home right alongside the volunteers and donors who love this community so much. And then after we build the house, we have a dedication. The family is so excited. They close on their house for 20 years, 0% interest mortgage.
Those of us that are part of the Charis team love to use the term neighboring as a verb. We try to train people what it means to be an intentional neighbor. We currently have about 45 families that have been part of the Charis program that are in the neighborhood, doing intentional neighboring, participating in the Civic League, being part of their block watch, learning the names of their neighbors right next to them. This home that we have now is one that we call a moderate market rate home. It'll be sold to police officers, firefighters, nurses, people that are working in the neighborhood as part of the workforce and that can weave their lives into the fabric of the neighborhood.
Neighboring implies that there's a two-way thing happening. I learn from him or her, and hopefully we can contribute to each other and learn from one another through mutual relationships.
I think neighboring is really just, when you think about it, an essence of a relationship. When you talk about neighboring, it's really about relationship building, really about networking, as well as just protecting each other.
Well, here you have behind me one of the vacant homes in South Atlanta. In fact, it's one of over 165 homes that are currently vacant through foreclosure. This is why we consider it such a crisis. 1 in every 4 homes is now vacant, and any house that stands vacant for 2 to 3 weeks is usually vandalized. So people break into the crawl space, they'll break into the house and get up in the attic, cut any wires that can be taken to get the copper. Your HVAC units, your AC outside, your furnace on the inside are all taken apart. Anything that can be traded for cash is taken out of the house. And then of course it makes room for all other sorts of bad stuff, drugs and prostitution and just vulnerability to the neighborhood. So in fact, on the map that Charis keeps, there's no home in the neighborhood right now that's not impacted through foreclosure and vacancy. If you have a home with a family in it, most likely there's a house next door or across the street that's vacant through foreclosure. This is one of the reasons we're trying so hard to purchase up these homes, to rehab them, and put families back into them.
So we're all in it together. Going back to that communal aspect of being a neighbor, it's more than an individual, it's a community experience. And so what's beautiful is very few organizations who are, say, focusing on the foreclosure issue like Charis, very few of them have an emphasis on the relational, on-the-ground experience of how they can connect neighbors side by side from street to street. And Charis, that's the strength of Charis. It's more than brick and mortar, it's more than a foreclosure strategy. You have all of these other groups and people who are working together to strengthen the community through neighboring, whether that's loving youth, loving seniors, helping to connect neighbors and communities across race and class lines, working alongside of the homeless through our church, or whatever other expression there is right here. Charis is right in the midst of the fabric of that, and we're all partnering together.
Well, thanks for giving us some time today to describe our work and our passion to you. We hope that you're encouraged, and we hope that some of you are challenged to even think about next steps that you might take with Charis. One of the ways that you can do that is simply through volunteering to work on one of our houses, through the build process or the rehab process to put a family in an affordable house, or even volunteering to assist us administratively in our offices. Some of you might be at the place where your organization would be ready for a small group of you to come for a vision meeting at Charis to get an idea of what we're doing and how your organization might be involved, and get a tour of the South Atlanta neighborhood. It's a great way to build vision within the organization and get others involved. Some of you might be at a place where you could even partner with us financially to help us to afford acquiring and rehabbing these houses. Either way, we want to thank you for your time today. Our contact information is on the video. We'd love to talk to you.